To today's seminar. Today's speaker is Flores, Girón, and he will talk about One Health, Great Apes Conservation and Human Conflicts in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Happy to have you here, and the stage is yours.
To invite me. In fact, we have an agreement with EBD, the research center where I work in DRC, Centro de Recherche en Ciencias Naturales del Girón. Okay, I'm going to talk about One Health, Great Apes Conservation and Human Conflicts in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, something that I know very well because I was living during the last 8 years, living in DRC, in the eastern part, in a very remote area, where we were living every day with the profession, with the conservation. Then, well, first, we are going to see this graphic about the health, This is mostly how health is now. Human health, animal health, and environmental health are entities separated. It's true that it's changing, but the reality is still to be this. And then, in Africa, more than here, we were with a concept that is a bit different. It's the concept of One Health. It's an integration of the animal health, the human health, and environmental health in one approach, the One Health approach. We are habituated to think that doctors and veterinarians are the principal protagonists, of the health. But when you do a One Health project, sometimes you don't find even doctor and veterinarian. In green you have 3 things very important for me when I have been working with One Health concept and projects, First is the society or the community. It's very important to integrate the community in the project that you are doing. But it's very important also to understand the community through the anthropologists, people that going to know what is the opinion of the community about the project that you are going to do. And in third, politicians. This is a place where you don't going to do the project just to have a result. You need to influence, to have a feedback to the politician, and normally the One Health project are done to change things in the society, to have a positive influence. But I work more in conservation medicine. Conservation medicine is like to talk about One Health, but with the integration of the conservation one species or one ecosystem. I have been working in DRC, trying to preserve, to conserve the great apes, but always from a One Health point of view, trying to improve the health of the community and the health of the ecosystem. Well, I work there. I was working there because now I am here in the center, in the Girón Primary Rehabilitation Center. Girón Primary Rehabilitation Center is at the eastern DRC, in the edge of the equatorial forest, and there you can see the Rift Valley around here, and this is the line that's going to divide the equatorial forest from the savanna forest. Then in this place is going to happen many things because there is a very intense human-animal interface. But the eastern DRC communicate with the western DRC through the Congo River. The Congo River Basin is very important place for the people in Africa. More than 100 people live from the Congo River, and this is the real highway that communicates the eastern part with the western part, for the good and for the bad. You see there, Kisangani. Kisangani is the first port, navigable port that you can find in DRC, and there is the place from where all the bushmeat and all the animal traffic go to Kinshasa to be trafficked after, or to be selling Kinshasa in the bushmeat market or to be exported to the European or American country. We are based here in South Kivu province, okay? South Kivu province, the capital is Bukavu. We were 36 kilometers from Bukavu and 4 kilometers far away from Kausi-Biega National Park. Kausi-Biega National Park is 11 times Doñana National Park and is the home of the only 4 groups or habituated eastern lowland gorillas. Okay, and we have up to South Kivu, we have North Kivu with the capital Goma, and very close to Goma, Virunga National Park. That was the first park, Albert Park, that was created in Africa. In Virunga National Park, we find important population of mountain gorillas, Gorilla beringei. Then you see this more green part in the map. We are here, we are at the edge of the equatorial forest. Then in this place where there is an intense human-animal interface, okay, is where many things going to happen, because it's very easy that things that are inside the forest, like the emerging infectious disease, come jump outside the forest. Then I have been working mostly recovering, when I arrived to Congo, recovering mostly chimpanzees, but other primates also, psychologically and physically, okay? In coordination with the national organization. But I have been working also, because I was engaged for 5 years in Gorilla Doctor, an organization that was working with gorillas in Congo, Uganda, and Rwanda. Then my work was always in the sanctuary and in the research center, Centro de Recherche en Ciencias Naturales del Viro, may also in the park, in the Kausi-Biega National Park, and sometimes in the Virunga National Park, where we survey habituated groups of mountain gorillas and Grawers gorillas. Then I go to Congo to work treating animal specimens, and when I start to work in the sanctuary, I start to find things that happen there, like tuberculosis in chimpanzees. And I realized that tuberculosis is a problem that exists outside the sanctuary. It's a reflection of the society there. I find respiratory disease, like respiratory syncytial virus, that is a very important virus also in Europe, okay? Presently they produce a vaccine, okay, because it's a virus that was killing many kids here in Europe. But I realized that I have also respiratory disease that are something that happen outside the sanctuary. We have diarrheas in the chimpanzees at the same time that the kids have the diarrhea in the hospital, in Luiro Hospital. Then I see that after the dry season, with the rain, okay, the rain washes the latrines, okay, and the water is contaminated, and then animal and people, they get infected. And I find Ascaris lumbricoides, that is a parasite for humans. But the chimpanzees in captivity, they got. But also the gorillas in the wild, they can get, because there is very intense human-animal interface. And we saw chimpanzees that when you do the thick drop in the blood, and they have symptoms of malaria. But we don't know if the malaria is the same that the malaria that produced the malaria in human, Plasmodium falciparum. Then is here where I start to be linked to the concept of One Health. And I go outside the sanctuary to try to understand why the great apes are in danger. Then I highlight here the place where I have been working. Okay, in Luiro Primais and all this part of the Eastern DRC. Eastern DRC and other countries here, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. But which is the problem in the region? The problem at the beginning was ethnic. In 1994, the genocide, okay? Hutus and Tutsi fight in Rwanda, and the Hutus, after the genocide, they go to Congo, and they stay in the forest, in the Virunga National Park, and in the Kausi-Biega National Park. Then the government of Rwanda, okay, the government of Rwanda is always afraid that these people can again go to Rwanda to put out the actual president, Paul Kagame. But the reality now of the Eastern DRC is more than an ethnic problem, it's an economical problem. Because in North Kivu and South Kivu province, we can find a lot of minerals, mostly coltan and cassiterite, that is needed for our electronic devices, but also something that the people don't talk about is charcoal, a big business of charcoal, because like you are going to see, conservation of great apes of the Eastern DRC is a problem also of energy. Then you see Ituri, you see North Kivu, you see South Kivu. Okay, this province are more or less 4 times Sevilla province. Okay, and in this province, Ituri, North Kivu, South Kivu, you can find around 20 million of people there. And in the western countries, in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Burundi, you can find around 15 million people, around 27, 28 million of people that they are moving through this belt, okay? People that they are putting a lot of pressure on the forest, on the edge of the forest, of the equatorial African forest. And we find many people, and we find the great apes, okay? This is the distribution of Pantrolite schwenfurti. Okay, Pantrolite schwenfurti is the eastern chimpanzee. You can find in all the east part of DRC, okay, and you can find in other places at the other side of the Rift Valley, like the chimpanzees that Jane Goodall was studying in Gombe, okay. Then the eastern chimpanzee, the most important population are here, but you can find also here in this belt the population of mountain gorillas in Uganda, Rwanda, and Congo. Around 1,000 animals, a bit more, that is now after all the work that they have been doing during the last 30 years after Diane Fossey died, okay? And then this patch, green patch, is the distribution in patches, okay, with the habitat that is different parts of the habitat. Here in Maico, in Itongwe, in Kausi-Biega National Park, in Maico, there you can find eastern lowland gorillas. Eastern lowland gorillas, and the population is not very clear, okay, because there is also many gorillas outside of the park, okay, but it can be around 3,000, 5,000 animals, okay. And then we find this CAP, Conservation Action Plan, okay, that is a group of many organizations, international and national organizations, that we have a strategic plan for the conservation of the great apes on all this landscape, okay? Then there are people, there are great apes, and the other thing is minerals, okay? Minerals, a lot of minerals, and minerals are in the same habitat that are the great apes, okay? And charcoal, firewood and charcoal, that these are in the same place where there is the habitats of the great apes. For me, there is 3 pillars very important to understand the situation of the conservation of great apes at the Eastern DRC. One is energy, the need of energy of the people. Another one is protein, the need of protein of the people. People need to eat also. And mining, exploitation of the mining exploitation. Okay? I didn't put here water. Okay? Because until now water is not still a problem. Okay? The people have access to water, even if it's contaminated. Okay? You can find also entamoeba histolytica in the intestine of the people because they are habituated. Okay? Then it's true that there is cholera also in the region. Okay? But water until now is not a problem because the water cycle between the Great Lakes and the forest that there is close to the Great Lakes, okay, is conserved until now. Okay? But the day that the water start to be scarce, okay, we will have a problem also because the people will didn't have how to eat. Then this is very easy because the people need energy for food safety, food security, to eat every day. A bit. I don't say they need to cook some beans every day. Okay? And sometimes, well, not talking about wood, sometimes if you have a light in your home or in your village, this is also personal safety, okay? But if you don't have light, the security is much bigger. Then the energy is through the firewood and charcoal. Firewood is the people that is very poor. They go the afternoon. The girls and the woman going to take firewood, okay, to cook something. Charcoal is a bit expensive, more expensive, and not all the people have access to that. But there is the big charcoal business for the rebel groups. The rebel groups, most of the time, they control the charcoal business in the region. Okay? And firewood and charcoal, deforestation. Deforestation, degradation, and loss of habitats for the gorillas. Okay? But the loss of the water cycle, we are risking now, okay, because we have seen during the last 3 years that the dry season and the wet season is start to be not the same. Because between the forest and the lake, like Lake Kivu, there is a water cycle, okay, that is closed. Then we start to see that it's changing a bit, and flooding and landslide is a real problem. Okay, it's a real problem, and there is many people that died during the last years, okay, in this part of the DRC. Deforestation is increasing the human-animal interface, possibility of emerging infectious diseases, and possibility to have regional problems of health, okay, and possibility to have pandemia, and well, the deforestation of the forests in Africa have and will have a big impact, okay, in the climate change. Okay, then energy is basic. This is a video from the last week where you see all the sack, okay, of charcoal that they were cutting in the Kausi-Biega National Park. Now the N23 is controlling a big part of the South Kivu province. Then the N23 take out the director of the park that was from Wildlife Conservation Society, and they are cutting, logging all the park, a big part of the park, okay? Then the charcoal business now, well, always is a way to get some money, no? But now it's a disaster in the park. Después, need of protein. People need to eat, okay? Well, there is problem because there is no education about what to eat, okay? But it's very limited. You have beans, you have sweet potatoes, you have tomatoes, you have onions, and you have meat. But farming, to do farming is very complicated. Even to have 2 goats close to the park where there is the rebel groups can be a threat, okay? But they come to the house, they steal you the goats, and sometimes you have to bring the goats to the forest with them, okay? And it's very difficult to implement prophylaxis program, okay? But farming in the tropic is very complicated. There is many infectious disease, zoonotic and non zoonotic. But, for example, foot and mouth disease is not a zoonotic disease, but every year going to arrive and kill many cows. African swine fever every year arrives and kill all the pigs, okay? Then, apart from the disease that arrive in waves, okay, that is the disease like tuberculosis that play a role also in the human tuberculosis, or theileriosis that is a parasite, blood parasite, that's going to kill many of the cows that you can have. Then, farming is very complicated, okay, and there is a lack of prevalence of studies about which diseases are circulating, okay, because if you don't know which diseases are circulating, you can do nothing, you can do no plan, okay. But at the end, you don't do farming, then you promote bushmeat. It's an alternative, okay. Bushmeat has been always like something for the subsistence. That is cultural bushmeat, but, well, now there is also a national and international market on bushmeat. Okay, then bushmeat is most of the time very frequent, and most of the time can arrive to emerging infectious disease, and at the same time that you do bushmeat, you do traffic. You're going to see after. Then, well, bushmeat, as I say, you can be subsistent, can be cultural, but it's a big business now. The trade of bushmeat inside Congo and outside, okay? 80% of the protein consumption in Central Africa is coming from bushmeat. And in the Congo Basin, 5 million tons of bushmeat are hunted every year. Pedro was with Pepe in Maigo, Lomami National Park. They didn't see animals. They were looking for parrots. It was very complicated to see animals because the people are hunting everything. And they found very big markets of bushmeat in Lomami, where is very close to the office of the National Park. Okay? And well, some studies suggest that approximately 270 tons of bushmeat are illegally trafficked to France. Okay? Here there is a book that is very interesting of the Dr. Fong about bushmeat, where you can have a good and nice overview about the different angle and vision about the bushmeat consumption, okay? This is what happened with the chimpanzees. They kill the adult, they keep the baby for the traffic. Bushmeat, emerging infectious disease. And mining, artisanal mining, normally, are in the great apes habits, okay? In the same place. Then, there is degradation and habitat loss, and there is also increase of trafficking. Many chimpanzees, they are found in mining camps, okay, where the people have consumed bushmeat, and the chimpanzees are kept there with the people to traffic, locally or nationally or internationally, okay? Mining leads to insecurity always, okay? Because the mining many times is controlled by the rebel groups, okay? Mining leads to insecurity and difficult the wildlife protection. The work that the rangers, they do, they cannot go down. In the lowland of the national park, Ausi Vega National Park, was very complicated to go, okay? Because the rebel groups, they control the national park and the mining camps, okay? Then, always the well-being of riverine communities around the park and around places where you can have mining is always a problem, because there is always people that at the end of the day get drunk. There is many violation of little girls, okay, of women. Then, well, it's a disaster of society where they do mining. After, mining have an impact on the health, okay, because it's linked to poor sanitary living condition in the place where you do mining, okay. Is linked to environmental pollution when they do mining in some places for the gold extraction with mercury, okay? Linked to high prevalence of human infectious disease, okay? Tuberculosis in the little chimpanzees that arrive to the sanctuary, many times they get infected in the mining places where the soldier or the people that are doing mining, well, have HIV, and they can have always also tuberculosis. Then minings increase the interface human-animal and the emerging infectious disease. This is Cauciviega, and the gray dots are coltan and cassiterita camps, and the yellow dots are the gold. Okay? Then mostly in Cauciviega National Park, here there is the Virunga National Park, but in Virunga there is a big business on charcoal with Uganda and Rwanda. Okay, but mostly here the mining is a big, many mining camps that exist in the lowland of Cauciviega. After the minerals, well, the minerals have no traceability. There is no any law. We buy the minerals from DRC without problems, but most of the time minerals go to Asia. And in Asia they are transformed and after sell to European and American countries. Okay, but it's true that Switzerland is one of the first, is the first importer, okay, of mineral, one of the first from DRC. Then, in this scenario, we are talking about One Health, and one of the things that we are afraid is emerging infectious disease, no? And then in this place, in this belt with many people, all these problems, well, Ebola epidemic in 2018, okay? In 2018 here in Butembo, Beni, okay? The index case was a hunter because it's the hunter, the first that going to be infected, and this hunter go from the forest outside to this big village, okay? And there the virus spread, okay? It's true that now, thanks to the Doctor Without Borders, that they were very well in this epidemic. The epidemic, where 66% of people died, 2,287 people died, okay? The epidemic finished in June 25, okay? 2020, okay? And start in 2018. Then, in this epidemic where we were vaccinated with the recombinant vesicular stomatitis virus, Zaire Ebola virus, okay? That was a vaccine that was created at the Western Africa and was used, no, in the epidemic of 2013. Okay, then the people who get infected Ebola normally is hunting, okay? And it's true that we know that bats, okay, they are reservoir of Ebola, but probably other animals. That is great apes, gorillas, and chimpanzees that they can infect it with Ebola, okay? And there were very important epidemics of Ebola in Western Africa. Then Ebola is also a threat from the great apes, okay? But mostly the people get infected hunting and after when the person dies. When the person dies in the funeral, okay, in Africa, they try to touch a lot the people that is dead in the funeral is where, Dr. Muyembe, that was in 1977, the person that discovered Ebola, okay, in the funeral is where more people get infected, okay? But well, this is one epidemic, and this is very recent, okay? This is September 2023, okay? In Kamituga. Kamituga is a city not far from Rio, okay, where they start the epidemic of Mpox. We were working from the beginning in this epidemic. We have been working with the Dalhousie University, and we sequenced the virus in the laboratory that we have, and then we found a virus much more virulent for kids, okay, and with higher capacity to transmit into the community, okay. Then this virus, clade 1b of the Mpox, is still there. The virus spread with a look, Kamituga, okay. Kamituga is inside, okay, the edge of the equatorial forest. The epidemic appeared here. In September 2023, the World Health Organization don't do very well, we can say, and then the virus spread outside the rainforest and urbanized here. And from here, the virus jumps to other countries. There is now cases of this clade 1b in European countries, in Australia, in Canada. Then, but what has Kamituga? Kamituga is a mining city with a very intense interface, human-animal, with high charcoal consumption, a lot of deforestation, because there is no other way to cook to have energy. There is a high wildlife meat consumption with many markets, many markets of bushmeat in the cities, and the people eat bushmeat without protein alternatives. There is no farming in Kamituga because the problem to do farming, but also because the people is focused in mining, and a social structure. Very disorganized, a lot of promiscuity. This clade 1B is transmitted sexually, but also by straight contact, This is not strictly sexually, because we found that there is another way of transmission, but at the end, well, Kamituga is close to wild population of great apes, where the mpox epidemic appeared, was also a threat for the conservation of great apes. Then, how we have addressed this problem at El Rito Primate Rehabilitation Center. I was working there, I see all these problems, and I try to do conservation. But I changed my mind through the One Health approach, because it wasn't necessary to do more things. If we have tuberculosis, we need to do diagnosis of tuberculosis in situ. We cannot send the sample outside. And if we have mpox, we need to do the diagnosis of mpox in situ. Or if we have malaria, then we create, in 2023, we inaugurated the One Health laboratory in the Centre de Recherche en Sciences Naturelles del Rito. A laboratory, where we treat samples from human and animals. I think this is the approach that we must go towards. This approach also in Europe, a place where you combine diagnosis of people and animals, because at the same time you see what is happening in both sides, and the interconnection is much easier to understand about the disease. Then, with Meg Cranfield was the director of Gorilla Doctor during 25 years in DRC, Uganda and Rwanda. With Meg Cranfield in 2017, I say, Mike, we need to create a laboratory, where we do all these things, to do the diagnosis here from a One Health point of view. And this, Mike was visiting here. Well, badly, Mike came back to Canada and went to the house in the forest that he had, and he died of West Nile virus in Canada. Then, well, after to be working in Africa the whole year, she arrived to Canada and died of West Nile virus. Then, we create the laboratory and we create One Health Conservation Initiative. It's an organization, local organization that I create with the researchers from the Centre de Recherche en Sciences Naturelles del Rito. We create because we needed a tool to do projects, And because even if I am researcher in this center, from a financial point of view, you cannot send money to them, because they're going to spend all the money before you do the project. Then, well, we create this organization as a tool. And we create a space where now we have people trained, the Apes Hospital in Paris, they help us a lot to train people there, and now today they are working there, doing PCR from sputum, and doing PCR from samples that they took from the cows in the slaughterhouse, Then, we are developing now, we are working on this, in the TALES project, that is transmission of the tuberculosis in Rito, a study of a strain of mycobacteria. This is a One Health project that we have been developing during the last 1.5 years, and we are taking samples from the animals in the sanctuary, taking samples from the feces of gorilla, on the wild pigs, antelopes, and chimpanzees in the park, taking samples from the cows in the slaughterhouse, and taking samples from the people. Now we send the samples, and we did the culture in Congo from the mycobacteria, and we sent to Avicenne Hospital in Paris, and they are doing the whole sequence to see the relationship between the tuberculosis in the animal and people. And we have this project that is ongoing now, longitudinal investigation of clinical cause, viral load, pathogenic co-infection, immunological response, and reverse zoonosis in Mpox clade 1b human infection. This is a project that we developed with the University of Dalhousie. We have published some articles, and most of the work we do also in the laboratory. And we have working also with the Institut de Recherche pour le Développement de Montpellier. We have been collaborating with them with a project of survey of emerging infectious disease in bats and rodents during the last year. Okay? And well, thanks to Pepe and Pedro, they were there, okay, because they went there to do survey of the parrots, okay, and thank you to this collaboration, we have now an agreement with EBD, okay, and we can develop more projects in the future, and then just this, the ongoing conflict in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo pose a threat to global health and great apes conservation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this amazing talk. Do we have questions?
Yeah. Perfecto. El tiempo siempre.
Yeah, thank you very much for this very impressive representation of these very interlinked ecological, social problems. And my question is related to the charcoal. I was wondering whether there are no development projects introducing solar cookers, or because it seems to be such an important part of this problem, the deforestation linked to the charcoal. So I was just wondering whether there's any projects
into the what?
Using solar cookers, or introducing photovoltaics or renewable energies to.
Well, yes, the problem of energy, I don't know if you know the work that they do in Virunga National Park, hydroelectric central, mini hydroelectric central. They have been developing a lot, okay, in the Virunga National Park, all around the park, okay, and they produce energy. They have a company that is called Virunga Energy, okay, but they have conflict, and they have people that control the charcoal business that even try to kill some people from the company. No, there is some solar panels that start to be, the people start to have, okay? But for cooking, beans are very hard. The people are not educated to put the beans in the water the day before. Then they have to cook the bean, to heat the beans, long time, no? They spend a lot of energy. They ask modify cooker with the charcoal, no? Okay, but there is no electricity, okay? There is no electricity kitchen, okay? Then, the problem is a problem also of overpopulation, no people, and the problem at the end is the integration of the woman in the society, okay? With the woman will be integrated in the society, the birth rate will go down, no? And probably, but the problem is also that we translate the models of consumption, the model of development from Europe to Africa. Then even if you have 2 kids and after you're going to have the kids that you have here, no? But energy, that is a real problem, you don't see many people working on that. We are working in the last issue, but the beginning of everything is this. But there is many things that try to be developed around all these things, no? But the problem now is N23 controlling the province. There is a rebel group and there is no government, there is nothing, no? And the problem is that there is very important population of great apes, yes, but also forests.
Yeah, thanks. Do we have more questions?
Hello, thank you for the talk. It was really nice. I was wondering regarding the monkeypox, do they receive any vaccine or treatment, the children?
Well, it's a good question, no? Okay, because mpox virus, no? They have a common core that is very common to many of the pox virus, no? Smallpox, the smallpox virus, we have a vaccine, no? That now is modified, and well, we didn't know if the vaccine can work with this strain, but they give the permission to use it, okay? But after that, arrived the neoliberalization of the epidemics in Africa, okay? You have an epidemic and you have money. If you control certain things, you can get money, okay? Then the Spanish government sent vaccines to Africa, to DRC. I think that they were sent the last week after many months trying to send the vaccines there. Okay, but after the government, okay, don't want to receive the vaccine if they don't get some money. Okay, then with the mpox epidemic that I was guiding a hospital there, the real hospital, that is the place where we have more people sick, infected. Okay, well, before December, they start to do vaccination, rings vaccination, okay, with the contacts of the people infected, and we saw how the mpox infection was reduced, okay, but after the N23 arrived, okay, and then not any more vaccines arrived. Now, actually, today there is 40 persons in the hospital in Rio with mpox. The problem with the mpox clade 1b is that a very, very intelligent virus from an epidemiological point of view, because he reduced the mortality, okay, the fatal rate, that is 0.5 people percent that can die, but the transmission, human to human, is very efficient, okay? Then, well, the vaccine that we have for smallpox works in the clade 1b. The problem is that there is not enough vaccines also all around the world.
Okay, thank you. It's because I think I remember there was, I don't know if it was the monkeypox that arrived here to Europe also a few years ago, and then they started vaccinating the population that was at risk.
Yes, that is true. In 2022, that is mpox clade 2b that arrived to Europe, okay? Clade 2b is from Western Africa and is more sexual transmission and was more restricted to some homosexual groups, okay? But this mpox, clade 1b, have another way of transmission in the community because the virus have changed some part of the genes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was super interesting. Maybe it's a little bit out of scope just because of the title of your talk, but you talked a lot about the interface in the eastern part of the DRC, which is obviously where there's the transition to the equatorial forest and there's a much bigger human population. But I'm just curious what the situation is like further west, because certainly from the map it looks a lot more remote and kind of unknown, but I was wondering what the kind of either wildlife conflict or human conflict situation is further west in that part of the Congo
in the
forest.
in the west of DRC?
Yeah, in the west,
but in the west of DRC is covered from the forest, equatorial forest. We could talk about the west part of Africa, no? And in the west part of Africa we have another epidemic, okay, of Ebola in 2013, no?
But in the actual Congo forest itself, is that a lot more remote and unknown, the kind of situation in terms of how wildlife and humans are interacting with each other? Or
well, you know, the western part is more safe. There is no rebel groups like here. This is particular. This is not the same dynamic. But there is a lot of bushmeat also. Okay, there is a lot of bushmeat that is coming from there. Okay, but this part of Congo is where is more concentrated the population. Okay, this is a very specific problem. Okay, and conflict generated by the minerals, no mostly, but they want to say that it's an ethnic problem, but it's not an ethnic problem.
Yeah, because it's just striking on the map that it really seems quite concentrated on a line, this line on the edge of the Congo forests.
Yeah.
And so I was just wondering, does the same conflict translate inside the forest?
No. Even if you go to the center already, the places are safer. Okay, the cities, Kinshasa. Well, it's always unsafe, no? Yeah. But Kinshasa, the people in Kinshasa are afraid to go to the east. They are very afraid. Okay, and now more.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, I will ask another question, not really related to neither health nor ecology, but just to, I'm interested in the situation. So the mining, is this organized by some international mining companies, or is this the rebel groups doing this in a very, self-organized, very chaotic way?
Well, it's the mining. Well, I found a guy in an island there in the Kivu Lake that he was doing mining in the Eastern Rio Sea, in South Kivu, okay, and he was from the Arabic country, okay. In the Arabic country, they have the company. Sometimes they come and they organize places where they identify people that do mining for them. There is many Chinese also doing mining, okay. There is a mining minister, okay, and there is company from China that pay to do mining, okay. Then but normally it's artisanal mining, okay? And there is some office in Bukavu that they buy the minerals, okay? And they supposed to sell to other place, okay? There is like a legal trade, organized trade, but there is the other mining, the mining of the minerals that go through Rwanda and through Uganda, and they are minerals that they say that they are took themselves in their countries, okay? Because it's evident, it's easier to put out the minerals through Rwanda than to send to Kinshasa. Because in Kinshasa they are robbers most of the time. Well, the people is very complicated. Then, that is organized in some way, but there is also mining that is not at all organized. But there is international company, yes, from the coltan, from the cassiterite, and there is also a lot of gold, a lot, okay? Then, it's very rich, but the country is very poor.
Any more questions? How do you get to these monkeys? Like, how do you find them, or how are
the monkeys that arrive to the sanctuary?
Yes.
Well, we were managing the sanctuaries from the government, okay? It's from the Institut de Conservation Congolais de la Nature, okay? Then, normally, my colleague, the manager of the sanctuary, we are in the CAP, in the Conservation Action Plan. We have a part of the CAP. There is many people all around the landscape of the CAP that they know that we bring the animals to the sanctuary, no? If they confiscate, okay? Then, if they find some chimpanzees in a village, okay, and the ECCM decide to confiscate, they can contact us, and after we see the logistics to bring the chimpanzee to the sanctuary. But we work officially with the government, okay? And the sanctuary is a part of the government. Then, normally the chimpanzees or other primates comes from the landscape of the CAP, but sometimes they can come from farther, okay? That is 3 or 4 rehabilitation centers. the rehabilitation center play a important role in the law enforcement, okay? Because they can apply the law. There is a law. They can apply, they can confiscate the animal, okay? And also, they play a role in education to the society, because in a country where the principal problem is the people that don't have how to eat, how to recover chimpanzees, okay? But there is a problem when the chimpanzees, they are babies and they stay long time with humans. Tuberculosis is a problem, okay? Then many sanctuaries in Africa, they have a problem with the tuberculosis because they are very sensible to get infected when they are babies, and the prevalence of TB is high where we are working and in other parts of Africa.
All right. Thank you very much again for giving us these insights, and see you maybe next week. It's not yet sure whether we have a talk next week as well. We do have a talk then. See you.
Thank you.